Okay, hello gamers, Muckluck here. Today is Monday, November 11th. We've got a little bit of Guild Wars 2 news. We have got a live stream that just happened over on the Guild Wars 2 Twitch.tv channel. That includes Roy and Cecil. I do not like that sound. And they were talking about World v. World changes. This entire thing focuses around some upcoming changes that are being proposed for World v. World. I say proposed, not just upcoming, because they said that they are open to changing some of these if the community feedback just really doesn't like it. So we're just going to blast through this video really quick and talk about the upcoming changes. So there is going to be a siege system overhaul, Repel event participation improvements, and victory point changes, which I'll talk about in detail when we get to those. First off, this is a slide that they showed in the past during a previous news post where they are changing the amount of victory points that you get for doing things in World v. World based on the server time. So basically, you get more points for flipping a keep or Stonemas Castle or something during prime time on a server than you would if you did it at like 3 a.m. Pretty simple stuff. This is going to be implemented soon. That is their plan. Skipping ahead, Demolisher stats. For those that do not know, I'm going to go in-game really quick here. And let me go to a PvP template. Demolisher is a stat option that has been in PvP. It's a 5-man PvP for a long time. It has got power and precision as the major stats and toughness and ferocity as the minor stats. El Trio, thank you for the raid. Appreciate you. This stat combination was one that was just in Conquest. It was similar to Marauders. It's like almost Berserkers with a little bit of survivability on it. And they're adding it to World versus World and PvE stat selectable gear. Now, PvE, any like really high-end stuff that's, like raids, fractal strikes, I don't see it being used there. But in open world, sure, it's totally fine to be using it there. And in World v. World, I think it's going to be situational. So Demolisher stats are going to be available on any gear that's stat selectable in PvE and World v. World. And I believe it will not require an expansion because I believe it's considered a core stat as far as the game's code goes. So that's the top half of that slide, TLDR'd. Next is Weekly Tower and Keep Defense achievements have been replaced with Objective Defender achievements. Basically, they just changed these achievements and they've made them really easy to get. They stated that they wanted you to be able to get these just by playing the game without even having to think about it. And then just occasionally they pop up and give you rewards. So they've made these a bit easier to obtain to give you some World v. World rewards. Okay. Let's see, skipping ahead. Okay, Arrow Cart 4's Unveiling Volley had poison. That has been moved to Arrow Cart 3, which is Fire Barbed Arrows, which previously just did bleeding. Now it does bleeding and poison in an attempt to allow you to pressure enemy blobs better by having poison on that skill. Don't know if that's actually going to work or not, but that is what they stated. Dolyak respawn timers. So, in the past, Dolyaks, for those who don't know in World v. World, Dolyaks will come from supply camps and they will trot over to other bases. And when they get to those bases, after enough of them have gotten there, think of it like they're delivering supplies, the base will level up and get stronger. In the past, if you killed a Dolyak, it had a lengthy respawn. But if it successfully made a delivery, it instantly respawned and just, went on and started to do the next delivery. So now, whether it is successful or killed, it has the longer respawn. To adjust for that, they have reduced how many Dolyaks are required to level up something. So now it takes less. They don't have the numbers on the slide for the old ones, but the previous numbers were greater than this, and now it takes less Dolyaks delivered to level up a tower or a castle or keep, things like that. Actually, no, keep remains the same. Sorry, tower, castle, or camp. And but they are slower to get there because even if they're successful, they have a longer respawn. So in essence, that means that the Dolyaks are going to be more valuable now because it will take less of them to get there, and they have that longer respawn. So that's a design choice. Don't really have anything to say about it other than that's what they're doing. The Healing Mist tactic, which replaced Chilling Fog sometime back. A lot of people want to see Chilling Fog back. They've reduced the cooldown of Healing Mist, and they have also added protection on the pulse to try to make it more desirable to use as a defensive tool. Tower and Keep Lords. There was a lot of... I was watching the chat over here. There was a lot of people not too happy about this. Next one. Tower and Keep Lords have had their health increase to match the Stone Mist Castle Lord. For Tower Lords, I think that's like double the hit points. Keep Lords, that's a little bit of an increase. They feel that currently Tower and Keeps are getting flipped way too fast. Like, you know, if you're like a defender and you see an alarm like, oh, such and such tower, you know, right over there is under attack. By the time you get there, it's already over. Unless you were already right there, there's no time to respond. That's basically how they described it. And they want you to have a little bit of time to get there if you choose to do so before the lord dies and the thing gets flipped. So they're buffing the health of Tower and Keep Lords to match the Stone Mist Castle Lord. Next up, let's see, that was them backtracking. They kind of went back and talked in circles for a little bit. And skipping ahead to the next slide. See, I'm saving you guys so much time right now. Sentry turrets. Sentry turrets have already been in the game in Edge of the Mist. If you place a sentry turret down, it will occasionally pulse. And when it pulses, I believe it has 1200 range, anyone hit by the pulse will be marked on the map. They're adding those to World v World under traps and tricks. However, each player can only have one sentry down at a time. So if you put down a sentry and then you put down another sentry, your old sentry will despawn. But still, if you can have a 50-man squad and that gives you access to 50 sentries, that's a lot of coverage. This could be very powerful. Again, if it manages to tag any player that goes within 1200 range of it, it will mark them on the map. It can be attacked. It can be destroyed. I do not know how durable it is. But it can do that. Someone asked Roy during the broadcast, they said, can this reveal people that are in stealth? And Roy said he's not sure, meaning he probably wasn't the one who wrote the code for it. He says he thinks it should, but he has to double check on that. But it does give you a debuff called Marked, which is not the same as the Revealed debuff. But it may reveal you also. He has to double check. But at the very least, if you walk by it and you're visible, you will be seen by the map. So same function as the Edge of the Mist, but only one can be active at a time. Placing a new one deletes the old one. Yep, just went over that. Okay. Archer says the SMC Doyak requirements have actually been increased, not decreased. The other two types were lowered. Okay. All right, so skipping ahead. Repel event participation. They want it to be easier to gain participation for the Repel event, so it's easier for people who are trying to defend to get rewards. So it is easier to get the bronze participation reward, which is the lowest participation. They said that a very small amount of damage is required to get that participation. They aimed to make it possible to be obtained even by healers. They don't want the healers to be left out. They specifically mention that. Damaging enemy players or damaging enemy siege during Repel events will now grant participation for those events. So either of those can get you those rewards. And skipping ahead, we're fast forwarding a bit. All right, siege system is getting completely changed. Blue, currently in the game, taking it from the top here again, because, you know, there's always some members of the audience that don't know how the system works. There is Blue Siege, which is, like, bottom tier stuff. Like, it's functional, but it's the worst. Purple Siege is better, but expensive to place. Gold Siege is the same as Purple Siege, but it is cheaper to place. Gold Siege, it's the most expensive to make those blueprints because it is the strongest stuff and also takes less supplies than Purple to place. All right, so what they're doing is they're streamlining it. They want to make this more easily understood for new players. So all Blue and Purple Siege are going to become Gold Siege. Then there's only going to be Gold Siege going forward. After the patch, instead of being called Guild Siege, it's just going to be called Siege because there's only going to be that one type of blueprints. So if you have an inventory full of blueprints of the blue or purple variety, you can double click them to change them to gold after the patch, or there'll be a merchant that you can go to and basically just like buy gold, and the price for the purchase will be blue or purple to change out like thousands at a time if you have, like, you know, got 20 stacks or something. So that is the first thing. The next thing, there was different types of golems between the different types of blueprints. So Omega golems will be the only golems after the change. But Golem skill 4 is going to be called a rewiring, which lets you swap between a melee punch for the golem and rocket auto attacks. So you can swap between the features that the old different golems had. Health and supply costs lowered. It will be easier to kill them. New infinite siege gizmos added. A new objective for super late game veteran players, like the same group of people that would be going for legendaries, things like that. If you're a hardcore World v World fan, there are going to be large collections for each of the types of siege that give you an infinite blueprint. So there will be one for catapult, there will be one for flame ram, etc., etc. I don't know what the requirements are for, I don't know what the requirements are going to be, but they said it is aimed at people that are late game and have like big stockpiles of resources. So it's probably going to require, like, I don't know, mystic coins and bones and fangs and blood and all that other stuff, or something like that. Or may just take big piles of resources you obtain in World v World. I don't know, but there is going to be a big collection for each of the blueprints. This is kind of cool. Like if you get the blueprint for Infinite Flame Ram, you never have to worry about carrying those again. That's kind of neat. New Siege token is going to be able to convert Siege, also used in the Infinite Siege collections. It is purchased from Siege merchants for a stack of any type of Siege. If you put a Siege token in the Mystic Forge with any type of Siege, it will give you back 200 blueprints. So for example, if, the Mystic Forge has 4 slots. If you put in 1 token and then like 1, 2, 3 catapults, it'll spit out 200 catapults. If you put in 3 tokens and 1 catapult, each of those tokens is worth 200, it'll spit out 600 catapults. So it will allow you to convert one type of siege to another if you fancy doing that. So that is going to be the next thing, and then we're going to skip ahead a little bit here, blah, 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 blah. And they are just explaining all the things that I said, but with more words. All right, so that is Roy double-clicking on Siege to change them from blue or purple to gold to show the conversion that I just mentioned. And then there are the infinite blueprints. They are purple with that pink ascended border. Those are the infinite blueprints. Watching him use these, they do not appear to have a cooldown. Now, granted, it is possible that he doesn't have a cooldown because he's on the dev build. But from what we see here, we don't see a cooldown. But he is on the dev build. He has teleporting and wall hacking all over the place, so it's possible that that's not going to be the final version. But in this video, he did not have cooldown. Then he shows like going over here, and you can exchange blueprints from one type to another at these merchants here, and you see him doing that. Then he showcased going to a Mystic Forge. He put in the blueprints, and he put in a shield generator, and it gave him back 600 shield generators. Then he put in, one type of blueprint, and then he put in 3, he filled in the remaining slots of shield generators, and then the token became 200 shield generators. And then he talked about the achievements that I already talked about, and that's pretty much it. Okay. And that is the Sentry. That is the Sentry that pings players that get too close to it, that we discussed earlier. That is visually what it looks like. Again, it was already something in the game from Edge of the Mist where not many people play, but they are bringing it to normal World v World. So I think that's everything. I think we have successfully TLDR'd this whole broadcast. As always, if you want to see the full thing for yourself, I have got it linked down in the sources underneath the video. If you got any questions, problems, thoughts, concerns, put them down below, and you guys can chat about it down there. But that is everything we know about it at this time. And of course, they will have a forum post about this in the near future. They said that they are going to be looking for feedback. So if you just really don't want one of these changes, please articulate it in a calm and collected manner on the forums with why you think it would be a bad change. They will read it and maybe change their mind. It's happened before. But otherwise, if no one complains, those are the changes that are on the way, unless they change their mind all by themselves. Was there a PvE section for this? No, this broadcast was specifically focused on world versus world changes. And that's it. That's all I got for you for today. Hopefully illuminating for some of you. And yeah, I'll fight you in the comment section down below.